We are now moving towards the second half of the first 12 days preparation. Hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit why St. Louis de Montfort established the first stage of preparation. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Brother Julian Mary from the community Knights of the Holy Eucharist. For this seventh day, I would like to divide our presentation in two parts. Firstly, the grace and divine consolation unknown to people who are dominated by the spirit of the world, but refreshes the souls of those who follow and possess the Spirit of Christ. Secondly, understanding the nature of virtues, for there are a lot of virtues mentioned in our reading for today. So let's begin with the basic understanding of what the word virtue means. It is not our intention here to explore the whole theological definition of this word. We may mention the word virtue for the first time in our introduction, explaining its important connection to consecration to Our Lady. So, virtue is the habitual disposition of soul of doing good and avoiding evil. I learned from our study in spiritual theology that virtue is a habit acquired from the repetition of acts. Now, we must be very careful here of two very important points. First, the repetition of acts is the repetition of doing good. And secondly, the virtue or a habit of doing something good can only be called virtue if the purpose is good and directed towards good. Otherwise, it's not a virtue. For example, practicing a habitual kindness to a particular person is good if its intention is good. But if the purpose is to take advantage and to destroy that person, that is not a virtue. Virtue then is a habit of training the will, doing something worthwhile and avoiding the dangers of sin and its consequences. If we have a habitual dependence on Our Lady and a filial recourse to her, as we should, then we have the virtue of faith and trust in her. Now, moving attentively the reading for today, we will encounter a parade of virtues and how the saints advance and grow in their spiritual life. If we wish to renounce the spirit of the world, it is so important to aspire and cultivate virtues following the order that God established in our lives. The intelligence, enlightened by faith, must direct the will, and the will must be docile and obedient to the reasoning enlightened by faith. Now the problem is the will often rebels the reasoning enlightened by faith and does not listen even to the voice of formed and informed conscience. St. Paul noticed this when he exclaimed in his letter to the Romans. And he says, "There is a war that exists within me. Indeed, there is a war that is waging deep within, a fight between two lions. And the one that is going to win is surely the one that you nourish well. With the grace of God and with His divine consolation, we will win. The grace of God is absolutely necessary, for it is a kind of divine inspiration or influence that will truly set up in motion to renounce the spirit of the world, beginning in our mind and our will and our senses. For the role of grace is to enlighten the intelligence, to strengthen the will, and to temper the senses. While divine consolation provides new spiritual energies to move on and also fortifies our faith, we must be accustomed to the beauty of the grace and divine consolation by renouncing the spirit of the world. For this spirit truly diverts and obscures our mind, the possession of heavenly things.